Good afternoon, John Verlin once again with On-Demand Advertising Solutions Digital Marketing Update. Got another email this past week from Sheila in Overland Park, Kansas, and she asks, recently read some information about doing Facebook Facebook Live, okay, scheduling events, promotional seminars, webinars, etc. What are your thoughts on that? And would you recommend that? Having been a previous business owner, I've seen how things have changed, and it is becoming more difficult to promote my current business, etc. Well, that's a great question and great observation because as we've talked about in the past, yes, things have changed. As far as doing Facebook Live as a promotion, I've not personally done it, but I know people who have, and I think it's great. I think anything you can do to test and experiment with, you need to try. You mentioned webinars or seminars. Yeah, the latest thing I've seen lately is people promoting a webinar. Matter of fact, today I saw in LinkedIn marketing people were promoting a webinar to learn how to advertise on LinkedIn. And some guy responded and said, "You have the worst platform. Your advertising is hard to figure out and do, and da-da-da. You ought to reinvent the software." And he was going on and on. So, yeah, I mean, everything's worth trying. Maybe you host with another business a monthly coffee or a open house. It could be anything to get customers to it and prospects. So yes, I would say all that's good. It all comes down to, though, your resources, your budgets, your time, and can you continually do this on an ongoing basis? It comes to mind a lot of financial planners do these, you're invited to a dinner at a nice steakhouse, and we're going to show you how to plan for your retirement, and they typically go into annuities. And I've gone to a number of those and just for the dinner because you already got everything set up. But it's being creative. At some point, that's going to wear out, and people are going to quit going to it. They're burned out. So you need to experiment, do the webinar perhaps, get that set up, host some coffees. All that's good, depending, again, on your budget and all that sort of thing. But it comes down to, in my opinion, the real thing, focus on building content and then promote it through the webinar or whatever. And maybe you do a video of a webinar or record it or a seminar, or at a monthly coffee, put some video on your blog from it or whatever. That way you at least own that to promote. But content you own, that can be promoted with the flavor of the month. Okay, in other words, you can use any medium, whether it's Facebook Live is hot right now, and then all of a sudden 6 months from now, some new platform comes up because people are burned out on Facebook Live. They just get tired of it or whatever. Owning your own content, on the other hand, you own that indefinitely, and you can promote that indefinitely through other mediums that come up, so to speak. So, great question. I hope I gave you some insight into that. I'd say test, and more testing. Go with what works for as long as you can, but always keep in mind your content that you can put online because of search engines and on your online image. From people who do visit your website, you want to increasingly increase that to show off your knowledge and your expertise. Today I want to highlight, I'm calling it 6 skills that was in a post by Stephanie Vozza called 4-Minute Read. She's got some really good points here, 6 skills of and truths, I guess you could say, of working with the gig economy. Got some interesting statistics here. She says that, Intuit did a survey, and currently 34% of our workforce is made up of gig workers, and they're projecting this to go to 43% in 3 years by 2020. The gig economy is creating micro entrepreneurs. Okay. whether it's copywriters, marketing consultants, handymen, Uber drivers, they're all running their own businesses, and most don't know how to make the most money as independent contractors. A whole ecosystem has sprung up around gigs, and she says we need a re-education. So she's saying, here's some things. College prepares you for a career typically, and while courses on the service you provide or the niche you fill will help you develop your expertise, gig workers need to proactively seek classes on these 4 topics, she said, to succeed. Now, however, you go to school to learn this, or you get a mentor or somebody, it's up to you. But first thing she talks about is critical thinking and logic. To keep up with this changing marketplace, as we've talked about, gig workers need to learn how to ask better questions. Our current education system is traditionally all about getting the right answer rather than the process of what I just said a minute ago, experimentation, and what that teaches you. You need to become comfortable with uncertainty. So she says, take classes on critical thinking or logic of how you would solve a problem. Gig workers need to be able to ask the right questions and develop different ways to view data, issues, and solutions, just like we talked about it a minute ago with doing experimenting with Facebook Live, webinars, whatever. We need to develop ways to view these things and the issues and the solutions. And having that ability to have critical thinking and logic is critical, so to speak. Second thing she talks about is human resources. Now, while gig workers are independent contractors, she says they need to understand what a company needs from someone they hire. And few students come out of school with an understanding of what it takes to be a good employee. She says she asks her students, well, so what does it take to be a good manager? And a lot of them say, well, you got to be on time. Okay, you don't have to be on time when you're a manager, she responds. So in the gig economy, you need to know what a good employee looks like and be able to emulate those traits to be successful in your career. Classes in human resources, team building, and hiring will offer exposure to the insights that can help you become a preferred contractor. She talks about finance. Gig workers need to understand finance and taxes and create financial flexibility, be able to look at a monthly capital and revenue statement to determine if they're profitable or not. You need to understand your personal burn rate. It's all about cash flow management. How much money are you going through every month? And she says you have to imagine if you had no revenue, what would your expenses look like in that month? And then prepare by saving and considering those expenses. Again, having a plan B, so to speak, a crash and burn plan, I guess. She talks about marketing and communication. And no matter what the core skill set or area of expertise might be, freelancers need to be able to understand the needs and the customers and communicate with them in a compelling way. Now, we've talked about understanding what the customer wants. That's key for any business. We talked about doing surveys, talking to peers, Chamber of Commerce members to glean their opinions. Whoever you're projecting to be your customer, getting data, getting information on what they are looking for, number one, okay? And you can't just focus, she says, on being good at delivering your core product or service. You've also got to be able to communicate it. So what do they want, and how are you going to tell them? Two most important things, really. And you also have to be in charge of sales, branding, marketing, and new product development. So she says, learning how to market and communicate to convey your value and build relationships with your clients is really important. In my opinion, it's the most important because without knowledge of the market and the need, all these other things don't matter because nobody's going to want it. And you have to be able to also tell why you're better and different than the competition, again, as part of marketing, to get the cash, to do cash flow analysis, et cetera, et cetera. Where and why? Well, the key thing here about understanding the whole gig economy thing is that understanding that job security is dead. Employees must deal with layoffs, downsizing, mergers, right-sizing, acquisitions, failed startups, failure to raise money, and pivots that eliminate an entire department. And you have to think about how you're going to create a portfolio of work that gives you income security. So really this whole gig economy thing and understanding how to run a business, it's changing a mindset from being an employee to being a mini entrepreneur and running everything. And unfortunately, the global economy is as such that people are having to do side gigs to be able to do this. And part of that is the whole understanding of that, again, I say is marketing, because that is going to tell you what the demand is for products and services and how to communicate that to people. Just like we talked about earlier about doing webinars and things like that, that's part of the communication of your expertise. John Verlin12 at AT&T.net is my email address. OnDemandAdvertisingSolutions.com is the website. What type of gigs are you doing? What type of business are you creating to produce additional income streams? There's a lot about how to retire and these ideas of perpetual income streams, whether it's your 401k, your Social Security, perhaps you have a pension, or are you doing another business or another side gig to produce more income revenue? That's all really important, as they said, because in 3 years, half the workplace is going to be doing side gigs, and it won't be unusual, and it already isn't unusual. So evaluate your skill set, understand these key points about how you need to view the marketplace and view your opportunities, because getting a better understanding of all that is going to help you in running your business and being successful. Talk with you again soon. Have a great day.